In this video, I'm going to teach you how to solve mean, median, and mode of a group data. So let's take for example, we have this table where it composed of an age from 10 to 24 and it is grouped by 3. From from the first column we have from ages 10 to 12, that means it's 10, 11, and 12. And there are 5 in the frequency. It means there are uh, 5 participants ranging from 10 to 20 to 10 to 12 years old. But we don't have an idea which of these are these 5. Either there are 5 10s, or some are 10, some are 12, some are 11, so we don't know. But we are sure that these 5 are just within the range of 10 to 12. Same as from 13 to 15 years old, there are 8, 16 to 18 years old, there are 5, 19 to 21 years old, there are 10, and 22 to 24 years old, there are 2 participants. So that is what you call a grouped data. So you really have no idea uh, what is the exact uh, data or age, but you have only the idea by grouped. And we want to know how to solve the mean. So we're gonna find the mean. And finding the mean of a group data is totally different from finding the mean of uh, ungrouped. So we follow a formula for the mean. So we have this symbol for the mean, an x bar, which is equal to the sum of fx. So the sigma symbol before the fx is what you call the summation. It means the total or the sum of the product of f and x, and you will know later what is that x. Divided by n. N is the total frequency. So based on the formula, we need the to add a column for x. So what is that x column? So x is actually the class mark. So sometimes we put cm as class mark, or x. But for me, I'm used to use x instead of cm since it's only one letter. And class mark, or the x, is actually the middle number of the interval from 10 to 12. What is the middle of that? 13 to 15, and so on. Or you can just add 10 and 12 and then divide by 2. That's the shortcut in finding the middle value of an interval. So anyway, this is only an interval of 3, 10, 11, 12. So obviously the class mark of the first row is 11 because that's the middle. Or you can add 10 plus 12 is 22, divided by 2 is 11. Then the next one is in between 13 and 15 is 14. In between 16 and 18 is 17. And then in between 19 and 21 is 20. And in between 22 and 24 is 23. So those are exactly in the middle of each interval. That is what you call the class mark. So after getting the class mark, we will need another column where we need to multiply the frequency and the x, or the class mark. That's why in the formula there is fx, because it's frequency times the class mark. So we will name it fx, or the frequency times the class mark. So obviously it means we multiply the frequency and the class mark. So it's 5 times 11, 55. 8 times 14, 112. 5 times 17, 85. 10 times 20 is 200, and 2 times 23 is 46. And so after completing the table, because it is the uh, columns that we needed for finding the mean, the x and the fx, then we will find the sum. The sum of what? So we base on the formula, which is sum of fx, so we will get the total of fx. So we add all 55 plus 112 up to 46. So the sum of fx is equal to 498 if you will use your calculator. And so we have the sum of fx, and then we still need the capital N. So sometimes we put there sum of f because N is actually the total frequency or the sum of the frequency. So we'll solve for the N, which is equal to, we'll add all 5 plus 8 plus 5 plus 10 plus 2 is 30. So we will substitute these all. 498 divided by 30. If you use your calculator, you will get 16.60. And that's the mean, or meaning that's the middle age based on the given group data. Alright, so let us reset the given, and then we're gonna find another one. Side for mean, we're gonna find the median. So median is still finding the center, but just remember in finding the median of what group data is to arrange them. Uh, but this time this is grouped and you don't need to arrange them because it's already arranged in a table. And so they are mean and median are computed differently, but uh, in most cases the results are almost similar for group data. So let me show you the formula to find the median. So median is written in this way: x wiggle, which is equal to L stands for lower class boundary, plus, so we need to put this symbols, parentheses, and a ventulum, and N, which is the total frequency, divided by 2, minus the lower less than cumulative frequency. So the L in the subscript means the lower or the lesser value, less than cumulative frequency. So all over the FM, or the frequency of the median class, times the class interval. So based on the formula, we need the L, which is the lower class boundary. So we need that column. So we'll name it LCB, or the lower class boundary. So lower class boundary is just simple to get. We subtract 0.5 to the lower limits in the interval. So lower limits are those numbers, smallest numbers for each interval, the 10, 13, 16, 19, 22. So we subtract 0.5 for each lower limit to get the lower class boundary for each row. So for example, we have 10 minus 0.5 is 9.5. 13 minus 0.5 is 12.5. 16 minus 0.5 is 15.5. 19 minus 0.5 is 18.5. And 22 minus 0.5 is 21.5. So that's lower class boundary, and that's how easy it is. Now one more column that we needed based on the formula is the less than cumulative frequency. So we'll add one more column and then we'll name it less than cumulative frequency. So there are two cumulative frequencies. There's less than and there's greater than cumulative. But you don't need a greater than in this formula. So we'll use less than cumulative frequency. So less than starting from the smallest interval going to the biggest interval. While the greater than is the other way, but we don't need it. So let's have the less than cumulative frequency. We base our values of this column from the frequency. So for the first row of the less than cumulative frequency, we just copy the frequency from the topmost row, which is 5. And then what we do with this 5 is we're going to add it to the next frequency. 5 plus 8 is 13. Then 13 plus 5, that's 18. And then 18 plus 10 is 28. 28 plus 2 is 30. So this is less than cumulative frequency. Now, since we have completed our column, our table, then we can substitute to our formula. But then we have a lot of lower class boundary. So which of these are we going to use? And there are also many less than cumulative frequency. So that means we need to know which row are we going to use. And there is a formula to follow to find this row, and this row is what you call the median class. So we will write it in this way, the median with a subscript C, indicating that it is the median class. So it's equal to the half of the total frequency. So total frequency, or the N, is equal to, we'll add it all, where we have that in the previous slide, it is 30. So half of 30 is equal to 15. But this is not yet the median, it's the median class, meaning it's the position. So we'll put the position symbol, which is TH, which means it's 15. So the median class is located in the 15th position. Now we're gonna look at the less than cumulative frequency, and we're gonna find 15. So if there's no exactly 15, then we will find the closest number to 15 above it. So 15 is in between 13 and 18, and we always choose the bigger one. So the median class, or the row that we need to use, is the one with the value of 18 and less than CF. So this is what you call the median class. And those values are the one that you're going to substitute in the formula, except for the 18. And you will understand that later. So let's continue. Substitute. The lower class boundary is 15.5 plus, so let's put those symbols, parentheses, in the venculum, and then we'll move to n over 2. So n over 2 is actually the median class, where we have that, which is 15. 15, but we will not include the th because we just need the value. 15 minus, now it's the lower less than CF. So it's not the 18 that we will put, but it's the lower value. Lower than that is 13, so it's 13. And then over the frequency of the median class, which is 5, times the interval. So the interval is the same for all the rows. It's always 3. So 10 to 12, 13 to 15. So there are 3 numbers for each row, for each interval. So let us continue solving. We are done substituting, and let's compute. So let's uh, copy first the 15.5 because we cannot compute it yet. We will solve from the inside of the parentheses. So copy the plus, and then let's solve. 15 minus 13 is 2. Copy the 5 and 3. So we will continue solving. Let's still copy 15.5 and plus, because we will just use it later. And then we will decide here in this point, 2/5 times 3. So there are 2 ways to solve this. Either you do divide first, 2 divided by 5, or and then you times 3, or you times 3 first, 2 times 3, and then you divide by 5. So it's gonna be the same result in this case, but usually you will have some problems when you divide first then you times, because like having uh, a repetition in the decimal. So it's non-terminating. Usually when dividing a number by a multiple of 3. So to avoid complications, you better multiply first before you divide. So 2 times 3 is 6, and then copy the 5. And so let's continue. We have the median is equal to, so you compute 6 divided by 5 and then add it with 15.5, or you can use your calculator. You will get 16.7 or 16.70, and that is the median of this given group data. So let us use the same table, but this time we're gonna find the mode of this data. So finding the mode of a group data is kind of different from the ungroup. Finding the mode of ungroup data is the simple, just find the most repeating value. While in this group data, it's gonna be harder because you don't know what is the most repeating number because it is by group. It is grouped from 10 to 12, 13 to 15, 16 to 18, 19 to 21, and 22 to 24. And you don't know which of these ages is the most repeating, even though you know that there are most of them are from 19 to 21, but still you don't know which of these three is the most repeating age. And so we're gonna use the formula for mode. So this is the symbol for mode, x hat, which is equal to L stands for lower class boundary plus. So I have the parenthesis and the vinculum indicating that there is a fraction. So on top is the D1, where it is the first difference. Then copy the D1 plus D2, the second difference. And I will discuss later, and you will understand what is D1 and D2. And all of this will be multiplied by the class interval or class size. And so let us get the lower class boundary because it is needed in our formula. And we'll just copy the one from the previous slide. It's the lower class boundary, and you already know how to find the lower class boundary. So now let us substitute from the formula. Now our problem is there are many lower class boundaries. So which of these is the one that we are going to substitute? So the same problem with the median and the same solution, we're gonna find the row that we are going to substitute. So in the row in the median class is median class. Now the row in the mode is a modal class. So we're gonna find the modal class. So how to find the modal class? It is the highest frequency. So in this case, we have a frequency of 10, the row 19 to 21, and this is the modal class. If ever there are two tens in the frequency, meaning there are two highest frequencies, then that means there are two modal classes, and you're gonna solve both because mode can be more than one answer, or it can be no mode. And so let's substitute since we already have the modal class. So it is equal to 18.5, that's the lower class boundary, plus, and so we need the D1. So what is this D1? So the D1, the first difference, is equal to the frequency of the modal class, which is 10, minus frequency after, no, before the modal class. So frequency before the modal class. Before 10 is 5, so it's on top. Sometimes the given data is from bottom to top. That means the frequency before the modal class is actually below that. But in this case, it is from top to bottom given. So that means the frequency before the modal class is on top. So this is actually the D1, and we're gonna find the difference of these two. So let's substitute. 10 minus 5 is 5. Then for D2 or D sub 2, it's equal to frequency of the modal class, which is still the same 10, minus frequency after the modal class. So it is the 10 and 2 that you are going to find the difference. So the same way, if the given is from bottom to top, then the frequency after is on top of the modal class. So let us substitute. So this is equal to 10 minus 2. So it is equal to 8. And these two are going to are the values that will be substituted in the formula. So D1 is 5. So we'll put both D1s as 5 plus D2 is 8. So just allow me to name it to read it as D1 instead of D sub 1, because it takes it saves time when you read it D1 instead of D sub 1, D2 as instead of D sub 2. And I is the class size or the class width, so each row is actually having the same class size. It's 3. 10 to 12 is 3, 13 to 14 is 3. Those are the 13, 14, and 15. Those are all 3. So that's 3. That's the class size or the class interval. Then let us compute. So let's copy 18.5 and plus, because we're gonna use that later. Let's solve first what's inside the grouping symbol. So copy the 5 and solve 5 plus 8 is 13. And so let's just copy 3. So next step, we'll copy the lower class boundary. And then the same way with the median, either you divide first or you times first before you divide. But in my case, to avoid complication, so you better multiply first before you divide. So you do 5 times 3 before you divide it by 13. So 5 times 3 is 15 over 13. And then, so do you get the value of the mode, which is equal to, actually approximately, because the real answer is very long and we will round off. So every time you round off, you use the symbol approximately equal to, because it's not the exact value. It's approximately equal to 20.38. So it means it is saying that the most repeating age is approximately equal to 20.38 years old. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have learned from this video. Please support my channel by pressing the subscribe button, and also write the math topics you want to learn in the comment section.